years, every crisis in the South China Sea was viewed through the lens of great power competition. On one side stood China, on the other the United States, while Southeast Asian nations found themselves caught in between. But the picture is rapidly changing. Across Southeast Asia, a new security architecture is beginning to take shape. It is not a formal military alliance like NATO. Instead, it is an expanding network of strategic partnerships. Some focus on defense cooperation, others on missile acquisitions, joint Coast Guard exercises, intelligence sharing, or military technology. Together, these initiatives are gradually creating a new regional security network, one shaped by the geopolitics of the South China Sea. Nearly one-third of global maritime trade passes through the South China Sea every year, carrying trillions of dollars worth of goods. Beneath its waters lie significant untapped reserves of oil and natural gas, while its fisheries rank among the world's richest. These strategic and economic advantages have made the region one of the world's most contested waterways. China claims sovereignty over almost the entire South China Sea based on historical grounds. However, those claims overlap with those of Philippines, Vietnam, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan. As a result, the dispute extends far beyond natural resources. It has become a focal point for questions of international law, maritime sovereignty, freedom of navigation, and regional security. For decades, balancing China's growing influence largely meant relying on the United States. Today, however, Southeast Asian nations are increasingly strengthening security ties with one another. A notable example is the Philippines and Vietnam. The two countries recently elevated their relationship to an enhanced strategic partnership and signed a memorandum of understanding on defense cooperation. The agreement expands high-level military dialogue, intelligence sharing, maritime cooperation, and broader defense collaboration. Ironically, the Philippines and Vietnam also have overlapping maritime claims in the South China Sea. Yet, faced with China's expanding presence, both countries are choosing to manage their differences while deepening strategic cooperation. Although India is not a claimant in the South China Sea, it is playing an increasingly active role in the region's evolving security landscape. Delhi has signed a deal to supply Vietnam with approximately $629 million worth of BrahMos supersonic cruise missiles. Earlier, the Philippines also acquired the same missile system. The deployment of BrahMos missiles is expected to strengthen Vietnam's coastal defense capabilities while increasing potential risk for any hostile naval operations. For India, the agreement reflects a broader strategic shift. Its Act East policy is no longer focused solely on trade and diplomacy. It now includes defense exports, maritime security, and a more active role in the Indo-Pacific. Japan is also redefining its security posture. For decades after the Second World War, Tokyo remained cautious about military cooperation abroad, but the region's changing security environment is reshaping that approach. The Reciprocal Access Agreement between Japan and the Philippines has made it significantly easier for the armed forces of both countries to operate on each other's territory. The two governments are also discussing an agreement on the exchange of classified military information, which could pave the way for deeper defense technology cooperation and future transfers of Japanese military equipment. Australia and Indonesia are moving in a similar direction. The two countries recently signed the Jakarta Treaty aimed at strengthening defense and security cooperation, although it does not constitute a mutual defense pact. Does this mean Southeast Asia is forming a new military alliance? Not yet. Most countries in the region have little interest in openly confronting China. Beijing remains the largest trading partner for many Southeast Asian economies, making strategic balancing a delicate exercise. As a result, few governments are willing to be seen as part of an explicit anti-China alliance. Another major factor is uncertainty surrounding the United States. For decades, Washington served as the cornerstone of Asia's security architecture. But growing questions over the consistency of U.S. foreign policy have prompted many regional governments to reconsider how much they can rely on American security commitments in the future. If the United States were to reduce its military presence or strategic engagement, regional countries may have to depend increasingly on one another. These emerging partnerships have yet to evolve into a formal military alliance. However, they clearly demonstrate that Southeast Asia is adapting to a new strategic reality. The United States remains an important security partner, yet regional cooperation is becoming an equally vital pillar of the region's defense strategy. In the geopolitics of the Indo-Pacific, the future may be shaped not by a single alliance, but by an interconnected network of strategic partnerships.